Warning. The contents of tonight's episode contains strong language and may not be suitable for some audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the Around the Ropes radio show. Here are your hosts, John Blaine, Ray from Boston, and Jay. Woo! With special guest appearances by Bobby Fish and Kevin Wilson. This podcast is proudly sponsored by Simply Green.
1, 2, 3.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Around the Ropes Radio Show right here on a Tuesday night. And goddamn, do we have a lot to get to. Hopefully, everybody had a great weekend. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed your Wrestlemania weekend. Definitely love to hear what you guys think about it, guys. Like I said, we are going to be live tonight. And boy, do we have a lot of stuff to cover. My other two compadres will be here in a little bit. Before we get into what happened at WrestleMania and before we get to what happened last night, I want to jump back a little bit to last Wednesday. AEW Dynamite, live from Washington. And we had, obviously, we know at Dynasty, we spoke about this last week, we had Darby Allin taking on Andrade to whoever won became the number one contender for the World Heavyweight title. And actually, guys, don't mind me. I'm just trying to share the show so that people can watch, and hopefully we can get some interactions going here. But so we had, like I said, we had with Dynamite, we ended up having Darby Allin take on MJF, and everybody. If you talk to many wrestling fans, a lot of them are going to say that, they're not going to pull the trigger. Because everybody figured, well, let's be honest, it's going to end up working out that we're going to get MJF versus Will Ospreay at All In. And let's get to actually first coming here from a good friend of the show, David, over in the UK. Says, hey, John, well, despite what the haters all say, Mania was awesome, a lot better than the last 2 years. We'll definitely get into, like I said, we'll definitely touch on what we saw this past weekend because, God, yeah. There's a lot of good, a lot of bad, a lot of the ugly, to be nice about it. But, so Dynamite opens up last Wednesday night, and we see in the ring, first of all, we see MJF show up, and he doesn't know that he has a title match, even though the graphic did come out on Sunday, so that explains right there where we're going with this. And all of a sudden, so we ended up getting the match where we thought it was going to be opening the show. And all of a sudden, Bryan Danielson comes on, on the screen and goes, no, Tony Khan has made this the main event. Now, mind you, wrestling fans are sitting there going, they're not going to do this. They're not going to pull the trigger. And lo and behold, they pull the trigger. And we have a new AEW World Heavyweight Champion in Darby Allin. Now, this is where things get a little interesting. Because you can go a couple of different ways here. Do you turn around now and keep Darby with the belt? Especially you do got Double or Nothing coming up in a couple of weeks. Or do you pull the trigger and get the belt back to get the belt back to MJF sooner rather than later and have a hometown boy walk into Queens as your champion for Double or Nothing? Obviously, we don't know eventually he's going to lose it to Will Ospreay. Or, this is where it gets very interesting. To me, my issue with this is hot shot booking, I feel like. And what do I mean by that is this. I feel like this was done solely on the fact of what we just passed WrestleMania week. And I think when we look at it, it's all said and done, I think if it wasn't WrestleMania week, I don't think they would have pulled the trigger like this. because your ratings for AEW have never been as high as they are now. The product is actually getting good. If you're a fan of the show for a while, you know that I tend to talk, not talk crap about it, but be brutally honest about it. And then when you look at, and now you're going to pull the trigger like this, to me, it makes, after, and this is what I don't understand. And this is what I would love somebody to explain this to me. You just said MJF have won a hell of a battle with Kenny Omega at Dynasty. To have him get squashed in under 3 minutes to Darby Allin, it makes no sense from a booking perspective. And to me, it's like I sit there and I'm like, as a wrestling fan, I'm sitting there going, what the hell are we doing here? I mean, I hope they don't screw this up. I really hope. And I hope that we get to a point where you kind of realize what the heck you're doing, because you can ask any wrestling fan. I don't think anybody kind of figured we would have Darby Allin as your new champion. And that's really the only big thing, honestly, that came out of Dynamite was Darby Allin winning. Now, like I said, as far as how do they go with him now that you got Double or Nothing coming up, they did announce through Sean Ross Sapp, we do have Forbidden Door coming up the end of June, live from San Jose. I'm shocked enough, same night as TNA's anniversary. And then you got All In. So you got 3 huge events coming up for the company. Be very curious to see what they do with, where they pull the trigger on this and where they go with this. It'll be very interesting to see. I mean, I know we also did get Camille back in action. She took on Willow Nightingale for the TNT title, which, okay, that one still I was still scratching my head on that one. I mean, I get why. I mean, American Gladiators just came back to Amazon Prime, and she's part of that show, so that makes sense. But like I said, it'd be very curious. Yeah, they also got what's his face? Wardlow is supposedly going to be coming back soon, as we found out in the exclusive he did with over on Bob Culture Podcast. Definitely want to give them a shout out as well. But like I said, overall, as far as with Darby Allin, I'm very, very surprised that he won the title. But let me bring in the man who I think he's in fall 8, spring 2.
Winter 37.
Ray from Boston. Ray, what's going on, brother? How you been?
Oh, just trying to figure out what season we're in. Typical New England shit. I hate all of it. Fucking hate it here. I'll never leave, but I fucking hate it here.
If we ever get merchandise for the show, that's to go on a shirt.
Seriously. Because dude.
I was just touching on quickly on Darby winning the AEW title.
Ah, yes. How surprised were you?
I was stunned. I was just saying before you hopped on. I felt like that was hot shot booking. How do you mean? I felt like it was Tony Khan's way of trying to garner some attention from the IWC, knowing that it was WrestleMania week. Knowing that or hear me out. Yeah, go ahead.
I totally see what you're saying, right? Because WrestleMania weekend, the focus is on Las Vegas, and with the exception of the other major brand. So I'm not ruling that out. But what I am going to suggest is that maybe he did it. We all know that he did it because MJF is off to shoot a movie.
Yeah.
How often do you see title changes on Dynamite or Raw? Like world title changes?
Very rare.
And we know that Tony is a huge fan of late 90s, early 2000s wrestling. And there were quite a few title changes, on Raw and in, Nitro during those years.
Yeah.
So It could have been listen, anything is possible. It could have been a nod to that. It could have been because he still wanted AEW to be prevalent during WrestleMania weekend, which is that really a bad thing?
No, but I just think my only issue with it, I just had one issue with it though.
What's that?
You had MJF going to have a freaking war with Kenny Omega a few days beforehand. And we found out obviously earlier that night that Andrade took on Darby. I know we spoke about this last week. Andrade took on Darby with winner became the number one contender. This is all well known.
Yeah.
The graphic came out later that night that we were going to get Darby versus MJF. So then fast forward to Wednesday, where you have that opening scene and MJF is coming out of the car and Renee stops him and says, oh, by the way, Darby wants to challenge you for the belt tonight. And MJF is sitting there going, what are you talking about? Why are you questioning the intelligence of fans when we saw the damn graphic come out 4 days beforehand?
Pump your brakes. Did you also hear what MJF said? MJF said, I was preparing for my match against Kenny Omega. I didn't pay attention to anything that's going on. And when I finished beating Kenny Omega, I didn't pay attention to any wrestling whatsoever. I had more important things to do.
I get that, but here's my bigger issue, though. And I get what you're saying, but here's my bigger issue with the whole thing. You had him go to war with arguably one of the greatest in-ring competitors. Would you agree with me on that? With Kenny Omega. To then have him get squashed a few days later to Darby? You see where I'm going with this now?
No, I don't.
But my issue is this. I get the fact, I didn't know that the movie part was part of it. I did not know that part. Which makes sense, though, as far as why they had him drop it. But I feel like they could have done a little bit more with it.
Why?
To me, I don't know. Maybe I'm just a believer that I feel like it's hot shot booking.
It's not, though. That is a story that is 4 years old.
Yeah, that was actually from the early days. I forgot.
Yeah. That is a pandemic era story. And it finally came to fruition.
Yeah,
and instead of it happening at a pay-per-view, it happened at a random AEW. Now, my bigger thing is, why is it more accepting that a title changed hands randomly on an AEW than on a SmackDown? And this is where it gets nuanced, because the reason people were upset why Drew dropped the title on SmackDown to Cody, it wasn't the fact that he dropped the title. It was who he dropped it to and the reasoning. We all know that TKO decided that tickets weren't selling. They needed more splash, or what they perceived to be more splash to the main event, to boost ticket sales. Unfortunately, they didn't think Drew was the guy. Now, if you're Drew, how does that make you feel working for a company whose owners don't think that you're good enough to draw? That's a different story.
Yeah.
Okay? But again, like I said, it's nuanced, because you have people being upset that Drew lost the title, and people weren't upset that he lost the title. It's who he lost it to and why. Everybody is okay with MJF losing the title because he's going to do a movie.
But isn't Drew also doing a movie?
Huh?
Isn't Drew also doing a movie?
Yeah, that's why he lost to Drew's doing a movie now, but I'm talking about when he lost the title to Cody. But yes, Drew is doing Highlander.
Yeah. Yeah, we talked about that last week. But like I said, my whole thing is this. Am I surprised that the trigger got pulled? Yes. I'm curious, and I kind of was bringing this up before you hopped in here. I'm curious to know, where do they go from here? Because you got two big shows that we know of before we get to All In. Because everybody figures inevitably All In is going to be where Will Ospreay gets the title. Now is where it gets interesting, though. Because you got Double or Nothing coming up, over in Jay's neck of the woods here of Queens in a couple of weeks. Then, as we found out over the weekend, you have Forbidden Door happening the same night as Slammiversary on the other side of the country. So you have two huge shows coming up. Do you keep the belt on? Obviously, well, now that you're saying about the movie thing, it makes a little bit more sense then to keep the belt on Darby going into All In.
Yeah, absolutely. You keep the belt on Darby. I think Darby and Will could have. I mean, Darby's style fits well with Will Ospreay's, so I don't foresee that being a bad match. I do see it being a match where I'm going to cringe every few minutes because somebody's going to do something fucking redonkulous.
Or you're going to sit there and be like, just sit there, like, just make sure like you have a pill, just there going, why'd you do that? You know.
Yeah. You mean like when Darby climbed the ladder against what was it, Jeff Hardy?
Yes.
And like went crashing and burning through all those chairs that he set up. Nah, dude, please don't.
Yeah, Will Ospreay and Darby Allin. Who's going to be injured first? Who's going to be not injured first? Who's going to be in a wheelchair first? I
mean, that's definitely what I am convinced Darby, like we all say, oh, you know, Ric Flair is old. Ric Flair, you know, wants to die in the ring. You know, he said it multiple times, but I'm convinced Darby wants to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy the stuff that he will put his body through.
Yeah, I feel like with Darby, I feel like he's gonna be the type. I mean, you remember a couple of years ago, down in Mexico, there was, I think Mysterio had a match with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the wrestler's name that it happened to, so I apologize. But Ray was going to set up for the 619, and the guy ended up dying because he had a heart attack or something.
Oh yeah, I think so.
My point is this: not saying that I wish, you know, they're on Darby, but the way Darby's going now with these moves, that, let's be honest, and this is one thing we always talk about with AEW. A lot of times, let me put it this way: take somebody like Cena, for example. He didn't have many moves. Okay. Yeah. But was he effective, though, with those 5 moves?
I mean, yes.
My point is, okay, take another guy, Steve Austin. How many moves did he have?
A couple of few.
Steve Austin match.
He had a few.
But again, he was effective. Darby, I feel like he tries to fit a 10-pound potato into a 5-pound bag. And it's like, dude, you don't do half the stuff.
No, he really doesn't. That's one of the things that I have always said regarding Darby.
And that's what upsets me though about it. It's like I sit there and I'm like, you don't want to see these guys. I mean, these guys put themselves through hell already. Darby, I hate to say it, is going to end up being one of these guys that by the time he retires, he's going to be one of these guys, if you see him at a convention, I hate to say it, who you're talking maybe, let's say 30 years from now. So when he's in his 60s? How old is Darby now? He's got to be, if he just turned 30 maybe?
Yeah, I think it was just 30. He's just turned 30.
So figure, okay, let's say by the time he's 60, okay, and he's at a convention. Let's say big event here in Long Island, or take any other convention you can think of. Darby Allin's be the type of guy that you're going to end up seeing in a wheelchair.
I wouldn't go that far. I mean, I which is odd considering what I've just said about Darby, but
maybe not wheelchair, but you see my point, though.
Oh yeah. He's definitely going to be on that Mick Foley pain train.
Exactly. My dad's made a great point. It'd be like Abdullah the Butcher.
Mm.
Same type of thing. I mean, we've seen it now with Darby. It's like you sit there and you're like, why? Why do you put yourself through this?
I mean, that is... Yeah.
But I want to get your thoughts quickly also on the fact of, before we get into everything else going on, fact of that we got Camille back. Random. Like, oh yeah, I forgot she's still with the company.
Well, that's because they're promoting American Gladiators, and her and Wardlow are gladiators.
Yeah.
So don't be surprised if you see Wardlow, make an appearance again.
Oh, he already said that. I was watching an interview he did with friend of the show, actually, Bob Culture Podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And he said his return is intimate.
David says, I can't see Darby maintaining his extreme moveset as he gets older. As much as I like the guy, he's no Sabu.
Yeah, that's another guy that we can also talk about. I mean, that was a guy whose last match, I just saw pictures of it now, was against Joey Janela.
Who doesn't want their last match against Joey Janela?
Well, I mean, Sandman got retired over the weekend by the Invisible Man.
No, Sandman got retired this weekend by Kendra Lust.
Yeah, good point. Good point. We're going to get into that as well because there was a moment, Ray, I don't know if you saw this, involving teenage superstar Ray Black.
Yeah.
We're going to touch on that in a second because I want to touch on that quickly before we get into... Because, guys, we're going to take a quick break now, and we're going to come back, and before we get into what happened in the ring of WrestleMania, we're going to talk about some of the bad. In a new segment,
and we're not even talking about the bad of WrestleMania.
Exactly. Guys, we're talking a new segment on the show. The good, the bad, and the confusing. We'll be right back, right after this.
At Simply Green, we believe in the power of nature to bring balance, relaxation, and well-being. As a premium THC brand, our mission is to provide high-quality, responsibly sourced products that enhance your lifestyle. Whether you're seeking relaxation, creativity, or wellness support, we curate a selection of top-tier THC to suit your needs. Rooted in trust and transparency, we are committed to delivering safe, lab-tested products while fostering a community that embraces education and responsible use. Simply Green is more than just a brand. It's a movement for a greener, more mindful future. Call 631-846-6060 to order or visit our location in Coram, New York. For use only by adults 21 years of age and older. Keep out of reach of children and pets. Please consume responsibly. Cannabis is not recommended for use by persons who are pregnant or nursing. Concerned about your cannabis use? Contact the New York State HIPAA line by texting HOPE-NY, calling 1-877-8, HOPE-NY, or visiting oasisny.gov/HOPE.
And we're back here live on the Around the Rose Radio Show. Definitely, guys, I want to give a thank you to our sponsor of Simply Green for helping us sponsor. I was actually over at their establishment over the weekend because it was 420 weekend. And it was definitely interesting to say the least. Especially the fact I found out Ray, somebody from your neck of the woods was actually there. Peter Griffin. And we actually have a video, which we will debut next week, of a little thing I did with Mr. Peter Griffin. So you're not going to want to miss that. Ray knows the video I'm talking about. I sent it.
I said, yeah, that's the one that you sent in the production chat.
Yep. But I know a lot of people aren't talking about this, but I feel like I just want to bring this up and then move on. Okay?
Can I say it? Please let me say
ahead.
it. If you are a member of the wrestling community and you go to a live event, such as a WrestleMania, if you will, or you go to a signing like a WrestleCon, don't be a fucking creep. Keep your hands to yourselves and keep your phone in your pocket, you fucking weirdos.
Could have said it better.
Wrestling fans a bad name because you fucking incels living in your mother's basement want to go and touch Elena Black's ass or videotape Bayley hugging AJ Lee after their WrestleMania loss. You're lucky. You are lucky. The only thing that CM Punk did was slap the phone out of your hand, especially with Ace Steel right beside him.
I saw both videos. I saw the Elena Black one.
And furthermore, unless you're actually willing to fight and put your hands on another wrestler, don't talk about fighting and putting your hands on another wrestler. Because like Big Vito showed you this past weekend, FA, FO.
This is it's funny, Ray. I love doing the show every week. You know that.
Mm-hmm.
You love doing the show also.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I feel like there's always going to be this negative black cloud over wrestling.
There's always going to be a negative stigma attached to anybody who says they're a wrestling fan, and it's because of those fuckheads.
Yeah.
With all of the great things going on this weekend in Vegas, you had Bloodsport, Natty and Shayna Baszler putting on a hell of a show. You had WrestleMania nights 1, nights 2. You had the Hall of Fame ceremony. You had 2 days prior, Darby Allin being crowned as your new, AEW World Champion, right? Nobody is talking about any of that. Most of the coverage this weekend has been about the fucking creeps.
Exactly. Not only that, NWA announced they're leaving Roku and going to Comet channel.
Comet TV?
Comet TV, I think, starting in the beginning of May. So
which is weird. I don't fully understand that.
I don't understand it either. Hopefully we can have somebody from the NWA on the next couple of weeks beforehand to kind of explain to us a little bit more about that. But here's what I don't get. Right now, I know Ray and I definitely want to get into what happened at the Hall of Fame, especially, with who inducted everybody, because we were kind of off on a couple of them. But no, we're sitting here now on a Tuesday night, coming off of probably one of the biggest weekends in the history of pro wrestling, and talking about these idiots who feel like, oh, I can touch a woman's ass. I'm sorry, okay? Why do you think now when you go to WWE and you do the meet and greet, why do you think now they don't let you do the certain poses anymore with the women wrestlers?
Yeah, it's because of shit like that.
And then people wonder why people like myself, people like Ray, people like David, and fan of the show since day one, why we always get looked at weird of, oh, you like that stuff? Because we don't look at it like some of these other people do. And I know some of these people who are creeps when it comes to pro wrestling. I'm not going to mention names. This is more of if you know, you know. And Ray knows one of the names I'm thinking of.
I can't believe you, sir. Not that you do have every right to.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. Not that you don't have every right to, because there have been times where I've tried to get you to be more vocal about the situation. But for you to just incur that situation just now, just off the top of your head, I mean, it's very valid and it 100% fits. It's just not something that you're normally open to.
It's funny, Ray. I'll put it this way: I have not spoken publicly about that incident.
I know
since it happened. But here's the thing, though. I don't plan on talking about it publicly. Not because I'm trying to push something under the rug. Okay, I just want to put it out there. That was in the past. Okay, that was part of the Around the Ropes podcast days. Yes, is that unfortunately part of the history of the show? Yes, but it's behind us. I'm going to put a saying out there, okay? Ray, I don't know if you've heard this one before. Why do you think if you look at a car, the window in the front, if you're driving, okay, is much bigger than the rear view mirror? There's a reason.
There is. You're absolutely right.
Because stuff in the past is supposed to be the stuff in the past.
Keep it behind you.
I mean, yeah, when we do the tell-all book in a couple of years, yeah, maybe then I'll talk about it. But my point is this, because it's the same thing we see it in indie shows as well, that people who act like creeps. I'll put it to you this way. Right now, I'm in one of those feisty moods right now.
I can tell.
I'm not going to start calling out names. But again, this goes back to if you know, you know. I've been to several shows now with my girlfriend. Mm-hmm. You've seen her on the show before plenty of times.
Mm-hmm.
There's been guys who've tried to creep on her. And I'm going to say this right now. To the people who do that, you better hope to God that I don't see you.
Well, not only that, John, but you're so connected in those shows with those orgs, and you've made friends with so many of the people there. It's not just you that would need to witness something like that. You know, so the easiest thing to say is just don't fucking do it.
Yeah.
David says, because arseholes in the rearview mirror are bigger than they appear, John. I fucking can't.
Thank you, David.
I mean, he has you there, John.
It's
on every mirror.
I gotta remember now when David comments on something, Ray, if it's you or me who pulls it up, we have to read it first.
I mean, I glanced at it, and I thought that the worst thing that he said was arseholes, but that and I didn't even think that was a big deal.
No, but my thing is this though. Yes, Ray, you're right. I do have a lot of friends in higher places when it comes to indie wrestling. But I'm going to put it to you this way. People I care about, you guys always see this lovable side of me sitting here the last 5 years doing the show. You know, the one who, if you go back to the archives, the one who literally will strip doing the Rick Rude entrance song.
Yep.
That's, again.
Forgot about that. Thank you for reminding me.
Or who, you know, will do fun stuff. You don't want to see that other side of me. Nobody does. My point is this, and then I want to move on. Because we've given these low life inbreds more time than they
deserve.
Point blank simple. If you go into a wrestling show. Also, here's another thing. Okay? Don't look at the female wrestlers and be like, oh, you and I should date, or, you know, or not even just female wrestlers, female wrestling fans. Okay?
Don't look at anybody like that.
Point blank simple. You go to a show. Okay. You don't go to this because I'm really screwed up. I'm going to say this. You don't go to the circus and find the clowns attractive.
See, listen, there are people that have a legit, I forget what it's called, a legit fetish that probably do that. So as far as analogies go, probably not the best, but I think everybody understands the gist of the statement.
Yeah.
Just, you go there to watch a show. You go there to be a part of an interactive experience.
Yeah.
So just do that. Have fun.
Yeah.
Don't creep. Don't give anybody the fucking heebie-jeebies, because I am telling you right now, you creeps just don't know who is who. And you really need to think, is it worth losing your life over?
Not only that, but is it worth being potentially thrown out of a show and banned over something that's so nonsensically stupid? But I want to get off of this. I want to get to the fun stuff.
Yeah, we spent 35 minutes shooting the shit and addressing those fucking low lifes.
Before we get into WrestleMania, I want to touch quickly on we had the Hall of Fame this weekend.
We did.
Let's run through quickly who, because I know we had spoken about this last week, and I know we were kind of off on some of them. So, Ray, if you have the
yeah, so evidently, for whatever reason, I don't understand this, but the headline induction goes to Stephanie McMahon. I'm not entirely sure why. She was inducted by Linda McMahon and her daughters. I forget their names. They're all very Irish names, so I can't remember. I know one's Vaughn, and that's it. And the only reason why that stuck in my head is because Mo Vaughn, one of the best Red Sox players ever. And then she talked. Oh, God.
All right, I have the names up, by the way.
Oh, you have the names of the kids?
Aurora, Murphy, and Vaughn. Sounds like a bad Irish pub.
Murphy, that's right. Now, here's the thing. This is why I don't think she should have been the headliner. I don't know why they labeled her the headliner when you have fucking AJ Styles going into the Hall of Fame. But they have her listed as your headline induction. And she goes on to talk about her younger life in the WWE, growing up in the WWE, which is, fantastic. I'm all for stuff like that. I enjoy hearing, the stories of how kids that grew up backstage were treated by some of the wrestlers, and how, Andre the Giant brought me to prom, or I believe it was actually Hogan that did it, but you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And then she goes on to talk about the women's wrestling revolution. And they are still forcing this revisionist history on you. And I will always rally against it, because it was not Stephanie McMahon and it was not the Bella Twins that were all for that kick-started the women's division that you see today. Because it wasn't. It was Paige, it was AJ Lee, and it was Emma. I can't remember who the fourth was, but there was somebody else that I know I'm forgetting. But those four ladies were the ones that said screw it and started wrestling, and didn't want to do the bra and panty matches, and didn't want to do the evening gown matches, didn't want to do the mud slop wrestling matches. So it always bothers me when they try to force this idea that Stephanie was the one that did it. Stephanie was the one that brought this to the forefront. No. People were talking about Emma and Paige's matches, Emma and AJ Lee, Paige and AJ Lee. They were talking about those matches long before Stephanie. And then you have the incident with Paige, and then you have AJ Lee leaving, and then they release Emma. So that irritated me. But overall, I did think that her induction and her speech was, it was entertaining. I enjoyed it. Then you had one of the most deserving inductions other than Cyndi Lauper that haven't been in the Hall of Fame. And that was one of the most dominant tag teams in WWF WWE history. Axe and Smash Demolition.
I agree with you, by the way. Fantastic entrance music.
Easily the best.
Yeah. They got inducted. Honestly, with this one doesn't surprise you, though. I like that they did this one, though.
Costa, it was actually before they started labeling the actual four horsemen.
Actually,
I can't remember.
Costa just gave me an idea.
Oh boy.
Okay. Right. We're gonna start trying to do. Remember years ago, we did a lot of the YouTube exclusives of certain topics.
Yeah.
We're gonna try. I'm just literally just dawned on me here because this actually can be a very interesting topic. Going off what you were saying about the revisional history, with Paige and the Bellas and AJ Lee. Who? This will be, like I said, we can do this as a later topic. Who actually started the women's revolution?
Okay. I like to look forward for that. Look for that YouTube exclusive over on our YouTube channel, which is
www.youtube.com/Around the Ropes show.
The Around the Ropes show.
But it's because they just make the argument then, was it Trish and Lita?
I mean, yeah.
So guys, stay tuned for that because we're also going to try. I'm going to try to bring in, because I think this also make a very interesting topic to bring up. We have a female wrestling fan's perspective on this.
Yeah, that would be great.
I literally just thought about that. But as far as who inducted Demolition, it was Arn Anderson, Haku, and the Warlord
from the Powers of Pain.
Yes.
Arn Anderson from the Brainbusters when he was in WWF with Tully Blanchard. And Haku, who actually faced Demolition on several occasions with different partners. His most notable partner is, simply because of who he is Andre the Giant, right? The Colossal Connection.
Yeah.
However, what people forget is prior to that, he was in a tag team with the Tongan Kid. Now, the Tonga Kid is not Tama Tonga's dad, that's Haku, but is the dad of who was the other gorilla of Destiny?
Oh, there's Tonga Loa.
Tonga Loa. Tonga Loa's dad was the Tongan Kid.
Yeah.
So Haku had a great run in the early to late 80s with the Tongan Kid as the Islanders, managed by Bobby the Brain Heenan, part of the Heenan family. Great feuds with the British Bulldogs. Demolition had great feuds with the Hart Foundation as well. I thought that Barry Darsow and Bill Eadie did a fantastic job with their speeches. They kept it shortish.
Yeah.
And I only say shortish because they have a lot, they got a lot of history to go over.
And not only that, we talk about this, since it was announced with Demolition, Bill Eadie had a couple of other roles within pro wrestling. So
he did.
He was Repo Man. He was also
no, that was Barry Darsow.
Huh?
Barry Darsow was Crusher Khrushchev, was Repo Man.
But then not only that, though, I mean, I'm glad of who got inducted. I'm also very surprised about who inducted AJ Styles.
Yeah, didn't we'll get to that in a minute. So we did the tag team, we did the quote unquote headline induction. Then we had our celebrity wing inductee, and rumor has it that particular celebrity inductee is just now coming off of the Kokai that he was on during his induction speech. That would be Dennis Rodman. And I got nothing. I got nothing to say about that. I wasn't a big fan of Dennis Rodman when he was part of the NWO, when he was in WCW. The only time that I was a fan of Dennis Rodman was when he was on the basketball court, and I don't want to talk about Dennis Rodman now and the shit that he has been up to. So, no, I'm good. I'm good with Dennis Rodman. I kind of tuned out, but I did see some of his speech, and I just thought that it just looked like a coked up has-been.
Yeah, I'm sorry, the fact that his biggest rivalry was when him and Karl Malone, if I remember correctly.
I did think that was a good match, and I thought it was a good match because of how good Karl Malone was.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we have our...
Hold on, right before we go, Karl Malone isn't in the Hall of Fame, is he, for WWE?
No.
Okay.
And then we have our legacy inductees, our posthumous inductees, those of us who left, those that left us far too soon.
Yes.
Bad News Brown, which I had no idea that he was a silver medalist in the 73 Olympics.
No, I didn't know that either.
You know? Like, already he's a badass.
Yeah.
You know? But I always liked, I thought he was a fantastic villain. Like when he would go up against Piper or Hogan, when I was little and watching him, and yeah, he did scare me, I also kind of liked him. And I always thought the Ghetto Blaster was crazy work. A crazy name for a finisher. And then we have the one, the only, Sid Udy, Psycho Sid, Big Sid Vicious. He was inducted posthumously, and I gotta be honest, I am with his son on this. They did both of those legacy inductees fucking dirty.
Yeah.
They played a fucking 2-minute video package and then said, okay, stand up. Okay, sit down. And that was it. I mean, even if you're not a fan of Sid, and I'm not really sure how you can not be a fan of Sid, he wasn't like a drug head. I mean, they were all drug heads back then. But you know what I'm saying? Like, he wasn't like a fiend. He gave back to his community. They had Cowboy Seth there. And if you don't know who Cowboy Seth is, Cowboy Seth was Sid's neighbor / friend, who, if I'm not mistaken, has Down syndrome.
Yeah.
And Sid would always take him when he could to TV tapings.
Mm-hmm.
And would hang out with him. He'd hang out with Sid and the boys and go do all this stuff. Like, he was a big part of Sid's life. And Sid was a big part of his life. You know, and kudos to his Sid's sons for making sure that Cowboy Seth was there. I thought that was awesome. But Sid gave back to his community a lot with fundraisers for people with Down syndrome, with, community softball games and things like. You're talking about a man who missed like 2 or 3 booking dates because they fell on days where, like, that fundraising softball game tournament was supposed to be played. And Sid felt that giving back to his family and being there with his family and giving back to his community, because Sid loved softball. Yeah. It is well documented that Sid was a huge softball player, in his free time. And he would go to these games and play in these tournaments to raise funds for research and, just a general fundraiser. And he would, I understand that the phrase blow off has a negative connotation attached to it, but that's what he would do. He would blow off wrestling dates because he felt that what he was blowing it off for was far more important. And really, who's going to fucking argue with that?
Well, I mean, the other thing I will say though, I mean, one of the biggest memories I have of Sid.
Oh, don't say it. If you're gonna say what I think you're gonna say, don't say it.
I'm not, but everybody knows. I mean, let's be honest. You would talk about big men when it comes to wrestling. Some of the the best big men out there. Sid has to definitely be up there. I mean, you talk about a guy who I think has 2 WrestleMania wins. If I remember correctly, 1 or 2.
Yeah, I think it is 2.
Against Hogan and I don't know. I think it's 1 because didn't he also go up against Taker?
Yes, but did he win? No, he didn't win against Taker because then we wouldn't have had the streak.
Yeah, but I know he did beat Hogan.
Yeah.
I don't remember who was the other one. Maybe it was Taker?
I don't know. I'll have to research that later. But so that was those were our posthumous in legacy inductees. We had our immortal moment, which was Hogan versus Andre, WrestleMania 3. Hogan picks Andre up, slams him. And listen, when I saw that as a kid, I thought it was the most fantastic, amazing thing ever in the history of wrestling. Huge fan of WrestleMania 3. As I got older and was able to watch other territories, right?
Yeah.
Not just WWE or WWF or WWF. Yeah, he wasn't the first person to slam Andre, and Andre wasn't undefeated. So I wasn't a fan. I wasn't a fan of them, perpetuating that, and like Big John Studd slammed Andre like 14 times. Like,
but one that I liked with that is that they had Hulk Hogan's son come out and Andre the Giant's daughter come out.
Yes, that was pretty cool. Anybody else think that Hogan's son could pass for Triple H's son now? When they were unveiling the statue on Friday afternoon, the statue of Hogan with the flag.
Yeah.
And you had Triple H on one side and you had Nick Hogan on the other. I literally looked and went, oh my God. That could literally be his dad. Like, just by looks.
Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. Somebody posted on Twitter a picture of Hogan's with the bronze statue.
Uh-huh.
And obviously, I'm not the first one who said it, so don't shoot me. I'm only the messenger of this one. Turned around and said, wow, Hogan became the one thing he didn't want to become. Think about it. If you know Hogan's history,
moving right along to night 1 of WrestleMania,
we did talk about Alan Jones.
Oh, we didn't. You're right. We didn't talk about Alan Jones. My bad. The in-ring legend induction, the one and only, the phenomenal one himself, AJ Styles. He was inducted by, and this actually shocked me when they came out, was the Good Brothers, none other than Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows.
Yeah.
And brother, I thought that it was one of the best inductions ever. They're always entertaining, right? They were entertaining in the WWE when the WWE actually gave them a chance at, not when they re-signed them and then just stuck them at the bottom of the barrel so nobody else would re-sign them.
Mm-hmm.
When they have their own podcast, when they're on the Good Brothers podcast, they have such good chemistry and they play off of each other so well. The speech was their induction speech was very entertaining, and then AJ got to talk, and it's fucking AJ, man. Like, what else are you gotta say about that?
Yeah, it was the one that I did like though was at the one point of the speech he did turn around and say, "I'm here to stay because I'm going to find the next phenomenal one."
Yep, which is great because, I mean, I don't even know who does the scouting for talent anymore. So to have like AJ Styles doing it, I think the guy knows a thing or two about a thing or two.
Yeah, but definitely, like I said, overall, I thought it was great. Especially you had Miz and Michael Cole.
Oh my God! Like, can we just let the Miz and let Michael Cole just be themselves? Because like when they're themselves, they play off of each other well, and they're so entertaining.
Well, did you like the comment when Cole turned around and said, something about with the Miz winning when he beat Cena at WrestleMania 27? And Cole turned around and said, yeah, that's also the same WrestleMania where other history was made that's still talked about to this day. When he traded the King Lawler, and he goes, yeah, that match was voted as the worst match ever in WrestleMania.
The worst WrestleMania match ever.
I was like, wow. But no, I loved it. I just hope that next year we don't get it at midnight.
Yeah, I'm not like, okay, I get it. You're on the West Coast, so midnight for us is 9 p.m. for them. That's cool, but can we still remember that East Coast is 3 hours ahead? And listen,
exactly.
Listen, Linda, listen. Can we not do the Hall of Fame every year? Can we do it like every other year? I feel like if you do it every other year, you'll have a more robust selection of talent to choose from. That's just me personally. I doubt it'll ever happen because it's become so ingrained as part of, WrestleMania weekend that. Speaking of WrestleMania weekend, let's get to this fucking shit show that we call Night 1.
Well, here's what we're going to do.
What are we going to do?
We're going to take a quick break.
No, we're not.
Well, hear me out.
No, we're not.
Hear me out for a second. Hear me out. Because when we come back,
I want to do this.
Hour number 2 will be commercial free.
All right, fine. I guess if we're going to do it that way.
Guys, we'll be right back. And yes, guys, the moment you guys have been waiting for. The good, the bad, and the confusing of Night 1.
Heavy on the confusing.
That's what I'm saying. Myself and Ray return right after this.
At Simply Green, we believe in the power of nature to bring balance, relaxation, and well-being. As a premium THC brand, our mission is to provide high-quality, responsibly sourced products that enhance your lifestyle. Whether you're seeking relaxation, creativity, or wellness support, we curate a selection of top-tier THC to suit your needs. Rooted in trust and transparency, we are committed to delivering safe, lab-tested products while fostering a community that embraces education and responsible use. Simply Green is more than just a brand. It's a movement for a greener, more mindful future. Call 631-846-6060 to order or visit our location in Coram, New York. For use only by adults 21 years of age and older. Keep out of reach of children and pets. Please consume responsibly. Cannabis is not recommended for use by persons who are pregnant or nursing. Concerned about your cannabis use? Contact the New York State HIPAA line by texting HOPE-NY, calling 1-877-8, HOPE-NY, or visiting oasisny.gov/HOPE.
And we are back here live on the Round Rope Radio Show. Yes, guys, like I said before, hour number 2 of the show tonight will be commercial free because holy crap, we have a lot to get to.
Yeah, and John running his mouth only left us with like an hour.
We're going overtime.
That's okay because this whole weekend during WrestleMania weekend has only had about an hour's worth of wrestling between the two nights. So I guess we should be able to cover this. First off, Night 1 kicked off with the 6-man tag match of LA Knight and the Usos versus The Vision and none other than I Show Speed.
Right.
I thought, first, what are your thoughts?
I thought this match was completely idiotic. And the one reason I say that, go to the end of the match, okay?
Mm-hmm.
They lost. Obviously, we know that. Vision and I Show Speed lost.
Mm-hmm.
Logan Paul goes to knock out I Show Speed.
Mm-hmm.
They get Logan Paul onto the table. I Show Speed does the spot off the ring post through the table. Why the fuck Do you then have IShowSpeed come out not even 2 minutes later and start eating with the crowd like nothing happened?
Because nothing did happen, John. The Vision double crossed him. IShowSpeed recognized that they double crossed him, realized that they put him in this position, and then whatever, right? Like that isn't that what we were supposed to think? That's what we were supposed to think, right?
I get that. You're funny, but I don't understand. But
no, I'm literally, because they don't. You're right. It didn't make fucking sense. You had LA Knight, who showed up at IShowSpeed's house, threw him through his stream setup, and then they're all fucking chummy in the ring. Like, WTF, mate?
That match, honestly, I hate to say it, that match itself could have been on the Friday before WrestleMania SmackDown. If you wanted to put it on live TV, you could have done it.
Or and hear me out on this. The match didn't have to happen at all.
No, and that's what I don't get. And that's what I'm trying to figure out myself here.
It doesn't further any story. It doesn't, like, what story does it enhance? What story does it advance? Does it advance, the foreshadowing of them telling us that the Usos are going to win another tag team championship from the Vision? Like, whatever. My grade on this match, 1 through 5, 2.
I give it a 1.5.
Okay.
No lie, I was at Ryan. I was over at Ryan this weekend, and I was watching with him, myself, and a few other people. And Ryan and I both sat there. We're like, I think we got up to go get something to eat, and the match was done. We both looked like, wait, the match just ended?
Yeah. Yeah, a whole whopping, I think, like 7 minutes. Woo-woo!
Yeah, you're still my heart.
Yeah. And then we go into the second match of the free hour over on ESPN, which was the unsanctioned match, which was Jacob Fatu defeating Drew McIntyre. Now,
what do you think of that one?
I have mixed feelings about this, because I am very much of the mindset that if you have an unsanctioned match, that doesn't mean you stay in the ring. In fact, a lot of people, myself included, think that means anything but staying in the ring. For the type of feud that these guys had, or had built up to have, this doesn't seem like the proper blow off, right? This blow off seemed too weak. Are we supposed to believe that after that beating that Drew took at the hands of Fatu, that it was enough to have Drew off screen for like 3 or 4 months, or however long it's going to take for him to film? Like, really? The match was solid. It was a solid match. You have Drew McIntyre, you have Jacob Fatu. How could it not be solid? Right? But
Ray, your microphone. My thing is this, as Ray figures out his microphone situation. No, I still don't hear anything. Well, because now you're muted. What I was going to say, though, while Ray's figuring this out, if I had to pick which match I wanted for night number 1, sorry, to me, Drew and Jacob was an actual wrestling match, not the crap we saw in the 6-man tag match. I'm sorry. When we look at what we saw in the 6-man tag match compared to what we saw with Drew and Jacob, it was a night and day difference. And it was something that, I mean, yes, and I agree with what Ray said, though. Do I think that was the end of their feud? No, not at all. And that's the weird thing I did not get. I don't want to get Ray's thoughts on this when he figures out his mic situation. I feel like what we saw this past weekend with several of the matches. Not still acting up, right? I feel like a lot of these matches that we saw this past weekend, for some reason, didn't follow the normal mode or normal MO, so to speak, of WrestleMania, and ended up, as Ray now took a break for a second, as we saw a lot of them. Oh, let's see now if we're working.
How about now?
You have to raise your volume. I can barely hear you. Still acting up. It sounds, Ray, I'll put it this way. It sounds like you're 6 feet underwater. But, like I said, while Ray's figuring this out, like I said, I felt like the opening matches that we saw on the free show, to me, made zero sense. Let me say, the iShow Speed one made no sense to me. I did not like it at all. I felt it was very confusing, I can't really put words into it of how I thought it was. I did not think it was good at all.
All right, how about now?
Oh, much better. There we go.
Okay. Evidently, there's this little auto feature in the platform, and somehow I normally keep it checked off, but it was ticked on my mic settings. So hopefully we're good now.
Yeah, we're good. Because it loved. I want to get your thoughts quickly. Did you feel like with both nights that a lot of the matches were not traditional blow-off matches?
No, they weren't. They seemed like matches for the sake of matches, and a lot of them were shortened because gotta have our ads, brother. Gotta pay the bills.
But I want to get your thoughts. Obviously, as you were figuring out the stuff, I was kind of talking about this beforehand. If you had to take, now I'm talking just night one here before we get to what we started. Which match would you take for your match of the night for just the free hour? Let me put it that way.
The free hour, it would be Jacob and Drew.
I completely agree. I did not like. I'm sorry. I just did not like that 6-man tag match.
It was, for me, it was what I thought it was, right? Which is the match for the sake of getting new viewers and ticket sales, right? We'll bring in iShow Speed. He's got a great following. He's got a huge following. We'll see how many of his, fans want to buy the pay-per-view or, go to the show or whatnot.
Right, here's my only question. Why did he come out to the ring dressed up like Superman?
Oh, I don't, because he's fucking iShow Speed.
When I saw that, I'm laughing. I'm like, what did he do? Go to Party City and
yeah, I don't know, man. I looked at it. I was like, why the fuck do you have a cape? No capes, bro.
I think Michael Cole even said it on commentary at one point.
Questioned why there was a cape.
Yeah.
Foolish. All right, listen. Enough with the free hour.
Yeah.
We've got the women's. Next up, we've got the women's tag team championship fatal 4-way. We have Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair, Bayley and Lyra Valkyria, and the Irresistible Forces going up against Nikki and Brie Bella, the Bella twins. However, Nikki had surgery, wasn't healed in time, but they found a suitable stand-in for Nikki, which was the returning Paige. I'm not mad about the return. I am mad that Paige comes back and immediately wins the title with Brie Bella, a team that doesn't tag together, just beat 3 other teams that have been tagging together for months.
Yeah. You know what would have made more sense with that? I hate to say it. If you didn't want to do the route of pulling Paige into that one, what you could have done was taking the Bellas out of it.
No, listen, I'm fine with Paige being in it and being the suitable stand-in for Nikki. That doesn't mean that she had to win.
No, but what I'm just saying is, I think what you also could have done, just another avenue, so to speak, is you could have taken Raquel and Roxanne, put them in there.
That would have been a good switch up.
Yeah, you could have taken. I'm trying to think here who else you could have done. You could have done Asuka and
Kyrie
as another example.
Yeah.
At least that would make more sense. And also, gotta give a shout out, by the way, to Nia and Lash Legend for paying homage to Demolition.
Loved it. Oh, I gotta tell you, the Irresistible Forces over the past month or so have really grown on me.
Yeah, they have. And I also want to know that crowd was dead,
bro. Like,
if you notice,
and shame on that crowd. You're a fucking WrestleMania crowd. I understand that it's Las Vegas and it's 97% tourists in that crowd, bro. It's fucking WrestleMania. You should be walking out of there with no voice on principle alone, just on straight GP.
I'll put it this way. Yes, was it a good match? Yes. But like I said last week, yes, I thought all the women involved did great. But overall, unfortunately, this match became, after everything that we saw this weekend, I hate to say it, that match became forgettable.
It did, because it wasn't like they were. There was no mention of tornado rules, but yet they were treating it like a tornado tag, but they weren't treating it like a tornado tag.
But here's the other thing I didn't like, though. Okay, and yes, we're going to kind of go back and forth here for a second from WrestleMania to what we saw last night on Raw. Okay, but there's a reason why I'm bringing this up. Paige and Brie Bella win the tag titles, okay?
Yep.
And Ray, you know exactly where I'm going with this.
I'm just gonna get in a comfortable position right here and let you do your thing.
The best you can do with them is show them in the crowd. It's the first time we've seen Paige back on WWE TV in 8 years. She won a title, and the best you can do is show her in the crowd?
Yeah, I'm not really sure why she was in the crowd.
Let me get to the comment here from David. Wow, okay. Paige gets a lot of stick and hate from the IWC, but I'm a fan very much so. I followed Paige's family, UK indie promotion, WAW, for years. I was a fan of her brothers Zach and Roy Knight when they used to tag together as the Hooligans, and a fan of her dad, Ricky Knight, too. I'm glad Paige is back. Yeah, I'm glad she is too. But I figure, okay, it's the first time we're seeing Paige in 8 years. I figure at least the worst she could have done was had her cut a promo.
Yeah, there was nothing. It was so weird.
I did not understand that at all. I thought that was completely pointless. But Ray, what did you think? What did you think of that?
The tag match, or of Paige being in the crowd with Brie?
Yeah, with Paige being in the crowd.
I thought it was foolish. Like, you're the women tag team champions. You go between shows. Why are you sitting in the fucking crowd?
Yeah, I did not like it at all. But let's keep things going here because we got
moving right along. Ooh, excuse me. Sorry, it's been a long day. We have the women's IC title match with Becky Lynch defeating AJ Lee, which is pretty much what we all said was going to happen.
Yeah.
It was a historic win. I think it was the first time that Becky had actually beaten AJ one-on-one. So, that helps bolster her career.
Well,
And I really think it was a solid match.
I liked it. My big thing is, first of all, I love the fact of the kids coming out in the beginning.
I thought that was great.
You had that, I thought was great. I really wonder, are they setting up something with Becky and Jessica Carr?
They've been setting something up for Becky and Jessica Carr. Okay?
When do you pull the trigger?
I don't know. I thought you would have pulled the trigger during that WrestleMania match. They were building for it. And when they do pull the trigger, they better have Jessica Carr wrestle without her mask. For those of you that don't know, Jessica Carr wrestles in Evolve with a mask, and I can't remember her character's name right now, but it is absolutely Jessica Carr.
Yeah. I mean, I liked it. I had no issues with it at all, because now you can give AJ sort of that break for a little bit.
Well, I think AJ is going to take an extended break anyway. Scuttlebutt around the E is that her mental health has started to take a downward turn.
Yeah.
And based on what we saw after WrestleMania at the hotel, can't say that I blame her.
No.
And that's all I'm going to say about that. But I definitely put the next 3 matches. I'm sorry. It should be the next 3 matches, but the Women's Intercontinental Championship match and then this upcoming match, I feel are the contenders of match of the night. And when we get to the Women's World Title match, I'll let you know my thoughts on why it fell out of match of the night contendership. The next match for match of the night is a singles match between Gunther and Seth Rollins. I mean, it's Gunther and who obviously won versus Seth Rollins. How did you not think this was going to be a banger?
No, and
honestly, this is one of the reasons why this fell out of being match of the night and why the Women's World Championship match fell out of being match of the night. Why do we have to have a fantastic match and then and during this fantastic match have fucking interference? You can't have interference and run-ins after the match is over.
No.
I feel like having Breakker interfere in this match lessened the match. It was such a good match. Having Braun in there, and I'm glad that he's back, but having Braun attack during the match just fucking didn't do it for me. As soon as it happened, I was like, well, that fucking sucks.
And I'm going to tell you right now, hold on, we're going to take it out for a second. When he came out Monday night with the leather coat and everything, I'm sorry, he looks so much like his father.
Yeah, he does.
It's scary.
Yeah, speaking of last night, Braun Breakker is in concussion protocol after that chair shot to the back of his head from Seth. Obviously, I don't think it was intentional. I just don't think Seth realized he had the chair the wrong way, and he gashed the back of Braun's head wide the fuck open.
We got a comment coming here from Costa saying, I know about the one, but I love this iteration of Seth Rollins, straight Street Fighter vibes, LOL.
I have to admit I do like it as well. I think it's I do like to see it. I think we've run the course of the visionary and the crazy costumes. When you see him on Raw dressed up in his suit, he looks very John Wick-ish, and John Wick is an ass kicker. So I do Lola Vice is on NXT right now. And there's an ad for Tajin, which reminds me I need more Tajin in the house. I got to put that on the grocery list.
Well,
Huh?
No, I was going to say that with this match, not about Tajin, but with this match though, is we spoke about this last week. We were doing our predictions. Gunther had to win this match.
Yeah, Gunther needed to win this match. Seth Rollins doesn't need to. Seth Rollins could lose the next 3 WrestleMania matches and win the 4th one, and nobody would remember the 3 losses.
Well, because not only that, if you remember last week, we had the comment from Greek Savage.
Where he said that Seth can't lose at Mania?
Yeah, and I'm sitting there, and I said this last week, I'll say this again. You had Gunther defeat AJ Styles, retired him. Retired John Cena. Because if people don't remember, also retired Goldberg.
Oh my God, you're still on that one. I mean, did he retire Goldberg? Yes. Did anybody care? No.
But he
did
still
people
did.
care about did people care about John Cena and AJ Styles retirement? Yes, because it's John Cena and AJ Styles, not Goldberg. No.
My point is, it happened, okay?
I know. I agreed. I acknowledge that.
My point, my thing is this though. When you turn around and you do all that stuff with him, and then you take him off the card for a couple of weeks, and it's like you push this guy to the moon, and then you not have him in a main event in a big spot at Mania.
Right.
Somebody like Seth, who has been doing this for 15 years in the WWE, the guy is Teflon already. He has nothing at this point. Seth Rollins could lose the rest of his matches, not only just at WrestleMania, could lose the rest of his matches in the rest of his career. I would still be looked at as one of the best wrestlers right now in WWE.
Oh, I mean, he went through almost a year stretch of not winning on a pay-per-view, and nobody really gave a shit until it was pointed out because all of the matches were good.
Yeah.
You know, and so that just further proves the fact that the man is literally Teflon.
Yeah. And then I think also when they kept saying about, Gunther, that Paul Heyman owes Gunther a favor, I think we all kind of know what that favor is.
I don't know.
We're going to get to that. We get tonight too, but what's the next match we got?
Next match we got is my 3rd contender for match of the night, but also fell out of contention because of what I mentioned in the last match. Liv Morgan defeating Stephanie Vaquer for the Women's World Championship. A great match between Liv and Steph until the Judgment Day interfered.
Well, how they
why is it so hard to have your heels win clean? You want to establish Liv as the figurehead of the women's division. You gave her a fucking music video, a Billboard song. Like, you want her to be the face of your women's division. Fine, cool, love it, love that for you. But then you're not going to have her win clean in a good match? Like, a good match? Like, why?
To me, it makes no sense.
It doesn't.
No. Also, let's be honest, Stephanie, yes, is she a talented wrestler? I'm not taking that away from her. I think she'll still be within that title contention for a while. But she has to have, I think, honestly, for her, have her go after the U.S. title or the.
Why?
Because I think her run when she had the women's title. Mm-hmm. What did she really do with it that was that memorable?
Okay. I see what you're saying. Totally understand what you're saying, but show me where she has the pencil.
She doesn't.
Oh. Are you saying that she doesn't, so she can't book her own matches?
No, I mean, and unfortunately, that's what I blame creative on.
Yeah. So you blame creative, but yet you're going to punish Stephanie by saying that she should go for the United States title instead of challenging for the Worlds.
Yeah, but the problem is, I mean, we did that when Liv and when it was Liv and Rhea, if you remember. I felt like that was like basically the title, the picture for the title for a good 6 months, 7 months. I just don't want that to become Stephanie and Liv, is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I just don't want it to become Stephanie and Liv.
I got you. I got you. You're not having Steph do it as a punishment for the bad championship run. You're having her do it so that there's a variance in challengers.
Yeah, I mean,
okay. That makes sense. I thought that you were.
No. Because I'm tired of this thing in WWE, and WWE mainly for this one. I feel like every time we get a new champion, or every time a champion loses, I feel like WWE does not pull the trigger on anybody else going for that title, except for that one person. And I go back to my comment that I said a few minutes ago, with, if you remember that whole thing with Rhea and Liv.
Yeah, no, you're right.
I mean,
it's like they get stuck on the. It's like, oh, they have such good matches. Let's keep doing this, and it's like, yes, they do have good matches. They have fantastic matches, but no, we don't have to keep doing this.
No, and you have talented women in WWE,
and I think Sol Ruka showed that last night.
Yeah, or as I call her, the blonde Lita.
The blonde Lita.
Am I wrong?
I mean. No, her ring gear is very similar, very, very reminiscent of that, of Lita.
My point is I love the fact that we got Soul going after the title. Why not have other people? I'm sorry. I think she's on SmackDown, so I don't know how this would work, but you have Julia, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Have her go for the title. Have Kiana James go for the title.
How about Kendall Jordan? I mean, Kendall Gray.
Yeah, or yeah, I agree with you. I just think, to me, and it's not just with the women's, okay? They do it with the men's too.
Mm-hmm.
It's the way Vince McMahon used to book. It's oh wow, these guys had a great match. Let's book them 85 weeks in a row, doing the exact same shit. It's like, after a while, it loses its luster to me. That's why, the one thing I love is when Carmelo Hayes was doing it, and then we saw Sammy do it, was the open challenge.
Yeah.
Because you were almost guaranteed a different person every time. Yes, they end up becoming 9 times out of 10. Ilya was doing it, or eventually that's what it became. That's what it was about the open challenges. Is you don't know.
But the mid-card titles, that's how the mid-card titles should be defended.
Yeah.
If it were up to me, mid-card titles will be open challenges only. Until you find that right one where you could have a feud that could last legitimately for a month or two.
Yeah. I just think, to me, I just wish they, and this is the one thing I'm going to give AEW credit for, because AEW, for the most part, will not have the same person going after the title. If you notice.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
But to me, that's been one of my biggest issues with WWE, is the constant, it's week 27 of this feud, and they've had 85 matches in a row. Well, let's make it 86.
Right. No, you're right.
To me, it's so idiotic at this point. It's like,
let's move on to the main event of night one.
As I call it, the most confusing match of the whole weekend.
What the fuck? Well, I mean,
I'll let you go first this one, because I got a couple of things I gotta say from this one.
So you have Randy and McAfee together, and then Cody and Jelly Roll take out Pat. So Pat goes to the back. Randy just is Randy. He RKOs the referee just because, he fucking breathed the wrong way. And that's what Randy does. And then Pat McAfee comes down to make the count in a ref shirt and a neck brace. First off, who gave him the ref shirt? And when did just wearing the ref shirt mean that you were a qualified referee, an official referee of a match? And then Randy RKO's Pat. And now Pat's out of the WWE for good. So what was the point of having Pat in the fucking build to WrestleMania?
Oh, I can answer that question.
What?
It was because then he could promote on ESPN. That's the only reason.
Did you see Jey Uso fight Killer Cam the week before WrestleMania on Killer Cam's podcast? Anybody could have done that. Anybody can go to ESPN and promote the damn show.
I don't blame you, but I don't disagree with
It's fucking stupid. Stupid, confusing, fucking drizzling shits.
Well, here's my question, okay? I want to bring this up. I'm surprised you didn't bring this one part up in the match, okay? Opening part of the match, they get Pat on the
Table.
on the table. And now Pat's been going after Cody.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Explain this one to me. Why would you have Jelly Roll be the one to take Pat out?
See, sir, because stop. Wait a minute. Think about it. Because I think it was the Raw right before WrestleMania. You saw Jelly Roll confront McAfee, yoke him up, and be like, why'd you tell Randy to attack me? That was my boy. You know, so now I'm gonna check you. That's why. Because Jelly Roll believes that Pat McAfee was the reason that Randy attacked him. Which, I mean, he's not really wrong. So,
and also, here's the other thing.
And if I'm not mistaken, yeah. So,
yeah, okay, that I see what you're saying. But here's the thing. I love for you to explain this one to me. Pat comes out with the ref shirt.
Yep.
Okay, paying homage to Joe Gertner with the neck brace.
Yeah. No, paying homage to Bobby the Brain Heenan with the neck brace. Get your facts right.
But now here is my question. You're trying to help Randy win his 15th title.
Uh-huh.
Why, for fuck's sakes, would you do a slow count?
Because he needed a reason for Randy to RKO him, I guess.
But you see my point, though?
No, I do. That should have been it. Should have been a Nick Patrick NWO fast count.
You know, it's funny. And again, I don't want to keep going back to what's open, but on the Sunday show with Jonathan Hood and Justin LeVar,
yep,
I think one of them mentioned that as well.
Oh, really?
That it's like homage, but like that's what I don't get though. You have Pat sitting there saying, "Well, Randy's going to save wrestling. He's going to save wrestling. He's going to come back." 1, 2.
Oh my God! It was a count slower than the cursed referee count.
Yeah, that would have made perfect sense. If you would have had Pat say, "Oh, sorry, I was cursed." Okay, then that would have made sense,
right? I want to get to that segment in a little bit as we progress from night 1 to night 2. Yeah. I really thought night 1 was the drizzling shits, and if we really, really were going to have a night 2 just like that, I didn't want it.
Well, actually, Ray, we're bringing somebody else who did get a chance to see night 2, and he was on last week with us to give his predictions. I want to bring in my father just to get his thoughts on night 2.
Yeah.
What about it?
No, we're going over night 2.
Okay.
Well, do you have anything you want to add for night 1?
I didn't see that one.
Okay.
I saw the first hour. Somebody didn't hook it up.
Yeah, I know. That was my fault. All right, so...
I saw the first hour. That was about it.
Well, okay. I know we spoke about this before. I want to get your thoughts. What did you think of it first?
Which one?
I Show Speed.
I Show Speed, I didn't understand the point of him being there. It was kind of stupid.
And then the 6th
Are they making him into a wrestler?
Well, it's kind of funny, though, because, Ray, I think you and I brought this up a couple weeks ago. TNA has BDE.
Yes.
What's with this thing of bringing these rap stars as a wrestler? Like Little Yachty was in there, right? With whoever.
Trick Williams.
Yep. It's crap.
Because the problem is WWE caters towards the younger fan base.
Yeah, but it's also showing now. All of a sudden, they're showing the celebrities in the audience. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
No,
I mean the celebrities in the audience is something that they've done for a while.
hold on.
Yeah, but they bring up every rap star in America sitting in the audience.
The one I laughed though.
And how much beer can George Kittle possibly drink? That's what I want to know.
I thoroughly enjoyed his drink off with Gronk. That was a good little bit of.
What did they do? Have a keg?
No. My question is this: Rick Rubin
needs a haircut.
Did he roll out of bed?
Huh?
Rick Rubin always looks like that.
He always looks like that. He's got the beard like he's a rabbi. It's insane.
But let's get started on night 2. Opening match. I will say this right now, probably my biggest shocker of the entire weekend.
What, the Lesnar Femi?
Oh, Lesnar Oba Femi. Which I read something today. You know who that was produced by?
Heyman?
Yep. And also, supposedly Brock, from what I read, Brock did sign off on Oba winning.
Yeah, I heard that he handpicked Oba to win.
But I want to get your thoughts first. What do you think of that match?
I thought Lesnar was going to win. I really did. I was hoping Femi would win, but I had a feeling Lesnar was going to win. The retirement thing at the end was definitely bizarre.
We're going to get to that in a second.
Oh, the match? I thought it was way too fast.
I
know.
Sub 5 minutes was. I was hoping at least 8, maybe. But a 4:45 match time, that is crazy.
But I think the thing is because of their size, I guess they do it fast.
No, but I think also what you have to remember, they also only had that match for 4 minutes for one reason, because of what happened right after.
Yeah, but they also lied on the height of Oba Femi. They made him taller than he was.
No, but the one thing I did like though with that match is if you saw Oba's reaction after he did the fall from grace, and he went for the count, and all of a sudden Oba was sitting there going, he really played off like, oh shit, I actually just won.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
But then I also like though Oba's going up the ramp.
His little tip of the hat,
and he does almost like the fake tip of the hat.
You're like, great match, thank you, or whatever.
Yeah, he took the hat off.
I want to know what happened backstage going on in the locker room. Did they hug each other and say "great match, thank you" or something? Or
no, Brock probably had his bags already packed and
back to Minnesota.
Oh, are you kidding me? Brock is out of there as soon as his match is done. He goes, he has his steak, he has his fucking whiskey, and then gets on his plane.
The best part I love after Brock, obviously we'll get into the retirement thing in a second. Brock goes up the ramp. I don't know if you caught this. He's about to turn left, back to Gorilla. I always see this on the camera. He does this.
Yeah. Such a sissy.
I will say
with the crying and everything. That was a lot.
No, you know what's funny though? There was one thing. I don't know if you guys caught it. He takes his shoes off. He takes his gloves off.
Yeah. He didn't take his shorts off.
No.
Thank God.
He then went like this.
Isn't that usually the sign of ref if they need help?
Yeah.
It's the sign. It's universally known as the sign that something real that just happened.
Something really happened. It's not in the script.
Yeah.
Medical.
Right.
Why did he do it?
Because something really happened.
He really retired. So
that retirement wasn't scripted. It was a shock.
Yeah. Now,
is he really retired?
Do I think realistically? No, because I think realistically, as much as I hate to say it, I still think he gets fed to Gunther at SummerSlam.
Nope. If that's how it ended, should be how it ended. Yeah. You had Oba Femi just come in under 5 minutes, beat Brock. Brock retired.
See, but I think if Brock comes back at SummerSlam, it's going to demean the whole match with Oba Femi.
Exactly.
And it's going to really make it sound terrible.
What about if they don't do that, but they have him come back at SummerSlam? Just go to this idea.
Go Brock?
And that's why they announced him for the 2027 Hall of Fame.
Maybe he'll come back with a mask and now no one will know who he is. Like,
oh, yeah, sure.
Finn Balor is a demon.
Sure. Sure, Brock, sure. You see this 6'5",
he's 6'1".
6'1" guy with a freaking sword.
Okay, well, maybe he'll color it in or wear like a shirt.
Well, he did an interview, by the way. I don't know if you guys saw this. And somebody asked him about that tattoo. Then he has the sword.
The sword of the flesh, yeah.
He said he got that. He was pissed drunk.
Yeah, he said that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, overall, I loved it. The one thing I will say, and we saw this last night on Monday Night Raw, I felt that, I say this weekly, Oba is fucking over.
Yeah, he's definitely.
He is. Just call him Over Femi.
Especially.
I find that strut annoying.
Oh, I love, but it's funny, you have the entire crowd.
I know, well, the whole crowd gets into it.
But I loved how he came in, he stood there, looked at the camera, did his one line, and that was it.
I don't know when they make Femi into a heel.
No.
That'd be funny.
No.
In years to come, you never know.
Years to come, maybe, but right now, you
Why
have
did they
that
make Femi and Brock into a tag team?
Well, hold on.
That'd be kind of
Hold on.
wild.
Here's the thing, though. You have lightning in a bottle.
Huh?
In all the years since NXT has been around, Ray, correct me if I'm wrong on this.
Yeah.
Ray, you okay?
Yeah, I'm good. Long day. It's been a long day. That's all.
I get it. I think in all the years NXT's been around, and all the years we've seen these pull-ups, we have never seen somebody get over as quickly as Oba Femi has.
That is an accurate statement.
Go back in the history of wrestling. I don't know. Hulk Hogan was over.
No. But no, I'm saying who's come up from NXT.
Oh, recently? No.
Nobody has come up from NXT.
No. It's like the farm team.
Yeah, and has. I mean, but when you have him come out into the ring, first of all, he was wearing the suit, which I was like, okay, I like what they're doing with him. And he turned around and he goes, Darula is here.
Yeah, that rule. I wish he would lose that somewhere.
And then he does literally the mic drop.
Yeah.
And I was like, but what I also like, though, and we'll get into this in a little bit, they did not feed him right to Roman. I like the fact that he wasn't the first person to come after Roman. We'll get to that in a second.
Roman might be the one to go after him. Because if you watch the post show for night 2, they interviewed Oba. Oba said that there will be a time where he goes after Roman. And then when they had Roman on the post show after night 2, Roman said, anytime you're ready.
Well, they also said Roman said he's there all summer.
He did say that.
But how fast are they going to bring Oba up? That's the thing.
Well, they did.
No, he beat Brock. When's he going to go for a title?
Soon.
And against which one?
That's good.
The IC title against Penta?
No.
Why not? Go through the list.
No, I think at this point
he's not going to do tag team.
No, I think
so. He's going to jump right to the championship. Reigns?
You almost have to with him.
What, SummerSlam or something?
Because here's the problem you're going to have, and we didn't really get into this with night 1, and we kind of saw this, with Cody. Cody came out on Raw last night with a very nice shiner.
Oh yeah,
left eye.
On his left eye.
Yep.
We don't know the status of him right now. You don't want to go. You're coming out of WrestleMania. You have Backlash coming up May 9th. You have Clash in Torino. No, Clash in Italy, sorry, coming up in the end of May. You have, I think they got I forgot what the other two were now. I just saw it recently. My point is this, though. Are you going to legitimately have it where both of your top champions, one of them is out, and the other one is basically a part-timer? That's my big thing, though. But let's keep things moving here because we got what I call the car crash match of night 2.
Yeah, we got 50. We're pushing some limits here. We're going to have to speed things up here. We've got the second match of the free hour was Penta retaining his title against Javon Evans, Rusev, Rey Mysterio, Dragon Lee, and JD McDonough in the 25th anniversary ladder match for the IC title over at WrestleMania.
Ray, quickly, thoughts on this match?
I thought it was good for what we thought it was going to be, which was going to be the car crash that nobody can stop watching. And, I mean, that's what it was. There was a fantastic spot by Javon Evans hitting the OG cutter on Rusev. There was a Spanish fly done off of the ladder, a Mexican destroyer from off of a ladder into a ladder. Like it was a train wreck,
yeah.
But it was a good train wreck.
It was a good train wreck. The only one I didn't really like is J.D. McDonough.
He was good.
He was okay. I thought it was kind of misplaced.
I thought Rusev was misplaced, if anybody.
Rusev was like the gorilla in the thing. There, he was so much bigger than the other guys.
I mean, I liked it. I mean, I thought all of them really did well. I think the one guy who definitely got himself over in that match, if I have to say so, is Javon.
Javon Evans, he's incredible.
I mean, your boy's bouncy. He didn't need. He was already over before that match.
And
if anything, JD kind of showed everybody what he is capable of. And for those of you that forgot what the Irish Ace is about, you now have been reminded. And when Judgment Day dissolves, hopefully you'll see that man with individual gold.
Oh, absolutely. And here's the funny thing. I don't know if you guys heard about this one. You know the wrestler B-Fab?
No, I can't stop the long dreads.
Yeah.
Ugh.
She did an interview this past weekend. She's actually cousins with Javon Evans.
She's terrible.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I read that. She said that she's cousins and related to Javon Evans.
Well, that doesn't mean it's so what. Still can't wrestle.
And then let me just get to the comment here quickly. Costa says it'll probably be Oba and Reigns at SummerSlam, I would assume.
Yeah, it could be. It could be.
Could be. Wouldn't shock me.
Yeah. All right, and then we got next. Now we have the actual show itself.
Yes. The actual show itself. First match that I have here is the Demon Finn Balor, which I fucking hate the fact, like, the whole point of the Demon is for it to be a surprise. You don't announce it. It was never announced in NXT. It would just show up, and the reception that it got was amazing. And the reception that the Demon Finn Balor got was not amazing. That Vegas crowd was just dead.
Yeah.
And part of it is because everybody knew that they were going to get the Demon. They wanted to see the entrance. The entrance was good, but it was a very typical Demon entrance. And I feel that if it wasn't advertised as the Demon Finn Balor and just Finn Balor versus Dom, that once the lights went down and you heard the heartbeat pulse and everything went black and came back up red with the heartbeat pulse, and as the fog started billowing in and people realized that the Demon was coming out, I think you would have had a completely different reaction to that.
No, I agree on. First of all, and he does that by himself, by the way, from what I read.
Makeup?
Yeah, all of the paint.
Right, the word Demon on his own back.
No, the back part is done by somebody else.
Oh, you sure?
Yeah, no, but the face, the chest, the arms, that's all him.
It's Finn Balor.
But I agree though with Ray though. I think if you would never have announced it.
No, they should just they're not announcing it, and then they're saying the Demon Finn Balor. No shit. Genius.
Also, by the way, Ray, you probably remember this better. I don't remember him ever painting his tongue black.
No, it was his tongue was always painted whatever color his face was.
Okay. I saw that on Sunday.
Because it's supposed to be his head and face are supposed to be part of the mouth that is on his chest.
Yeah.
Who did that years ago? Where they were one character and then they put a mask on and everybody thought there was somebody else. I forgot. Well, you know one of them, Bo Dallas with Howdy.
Yeah.
Still the same wrestler.
Yeah.
I mean, they're kind of calling the crowd stupid. The fans that you don't know, it's like Bo Dallas is not Howdy or Finn Balor is not the Demon. Come on.
My thing is this, though. I mean, do I like the fact that the Demon won? Yes.
I like Dom for some reason. I don't know why.
Well, here's the one thing I like with Dom, and then we'll get on to the next match here in a second, is you could turn around, Ray, we said this before on the show. You could turn around to any wrestling fan and say Dirty Dom, and you don't have to say the last name anymore.
Yeah.
Does that now? I don't know if that shows you that he's become such a good star that he's been able to kind of outshine his last name.
You know what it is? He's someone you love to hate.
Yeah.
more than anything else. You love to hate him. You know, this whole storyline with his father being a deadbeat. I mean, they don't even talk about that anymore,
No.
really. Not at all.
But the fact that if you look at him, though, he does look very much like Eddie.
Oh, yeah. But that's a whole storyline.
No, but if you look at him, though, he looks.
But he's not Eddie. He's obviously Dom's son.
Yeah, right, yeah.
You know.
But let's go on next match here.
Next match is for the WWE Women's Championship. It is one Rhea Ripley versus a Jade Cargill. And in this 10-minute match, it was actually better than I thought it was going to be. And I am so proud to say that. I am so happy that I'm saying that. I thought Jade did really, really well. I thought Rhea did phenomenally well as also. It was actually at the point where I wasn't sure if I wanted Jade to lose. Like, that Jade that was performing, like, why can't we get that Jade all the time?
Well, first of all, they did say on commentary, Rhea's attire was inspired by the Insane Asylum, I think.
Ooh.
Yeah, the Insane Asylum that she feels Jade has put her in, and tonight is the night that she's going to break out, is what Michael Cole's quote was.
Yes. I mean,
Yeah.
I liked the match. It was good. But also, let's go back to the comment that we were talking about in wrestling. When you have the right person in the ring.
Again, yes, absolutely. Could she have that match with, say, a Kyrie? I don't know. I don't think it would be as good.
No, because the problem
And that is more of a Jade thing than a Kyrie thing. Like, this match was good because of the two competitors in it. You know, I'm not going to say that Rhea carried the match. It was an equal 50-50 match. It could just be the fact that Jade let her lead.
I think knowing that Rhea was the veteran in that match, Jade probably sat there and said, "You know what? I'll take your lead."
Right.
Type of deal. I didn't mind the match.
No, not at all.
And then the fact now that we got Rhea now as your champion, and yes, we did have that moment last night on Raw where she did have to say goodbye to EO. Because now she's on SmackDown. I mean, I don't know. I think she's just another one. I'm very curious to see who is her first program going to be.
I don't know. I don't know. Over on SmackDown, who could it be?
I mean, realistically,
Io Sky.
no, EO's on Raw.
Oh, yeah, but Io Sky.
I mean, it could be Jordan Grace. We could go with Julia. We could go.
She'll kill Jordan Grace.
I got another one. How about Tiffy time?
I don't know.
I mean, I guess, but
She didn't look the other good the other day when I
Or-
saw her wrestling.
I mean,
Tiffany Stratton.
let's see who else. Hold on. Here's a novel idea.
Chelsea Green.
I would love her to be Chelsea.
I think Rhea and Chelsea would be fucking amazing.
Yeah, it would be incredible. I mean, we also know who's getting called up from NXT.
Yeah,
Could we possibly see JC Jane?
I think that would be a good one too.
I mean, you were talking about shooting somebody in the moon. Yeah, we're good. I mean, that's what I loved though with it though. And then after that match, I think was in Punk and Reigns, right?
Last match of the night, as far as I am concerned, was Roman Reigns versus CM Punk, with Roman Reigns defeating him in 33 minutes and 57 seconds. Do you realize that match time is almost as long as the entire non-main event card of night one? That is absolutely ridiculous.
I loved how with Punk, he comes through the crowd before you hear Cold Personality, and you hear the Ring of Honor.
Oh my God. It was so nice.
And I also loved how on his jacket, I don't know if that you put this.
All the people who died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was
he had the patch of Larry. He had Bo Looters, who Bo Looters was the guitarist of what was the guitarist and friend that Brody Lee ended up missing Dynamite for to go attend that funeral. that they talked about on Dynamite, because Brody Lee and CM Punk were friends with Bo Luders.
Brody King.
Did I say Brody Lee?
Yeah.
Fuck. Yes, I wish it was Brody Lee. I really do. But no, Brody King. I'm sorry.
You're good. What I also liked though was with Roman's intro, how you had on the Titan.
It was like a life history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had High Chief Peter Maivia.
You had family history of the.
Yeah.
I know my family.
Or as we call it, the history of WWE.
Yeah. Yeah, you had the High Chief, you had Yokozuna, you had Alpha, Sika.
That was kind of nice. Punk, they kind of did that too, to a point, but not a family thing.
No,
they went back into Punk's life.
But the thing I love though, Punk, they come out. Also, what else I love about the match? No interference.
No.
At all. You let them match.
It was, and what a good match! Like it was. I feel like it was the only match of WrestleMania weekend that had conducive storytelling.
Yes. I loved it from that perspective. I loved it how it got to the point they were taunting, how they were taunting each other.
Oh, listen,
this match,
shit talking Roman is the best Roman. Like when he is on the mat on the mat with you and he is shit talking you, best Roman, best version.
Yeah. I loved also, because what this match basically came down to me, I'll just get you guys opinion on this, is to me, this match came down to very simple. You have these two guys who are generational talents. Let's call it what it is. Okay?
Yeah.
Who both are trying to be at the top of the food chain. And it was very simple. Which one of them were going to make the least amount of mistakes?
Well, yes, and also at the same time, it kind of plays into the whole build-up, right? With Roman calling him old. As the match went on, you saw Punk get more desperate. You saw him with the low blow. You saw him put Roman through the table. You saw him use his finisher, Roman's finisher, and he still couldn't get it done. And then finally, he goes to pick him up for another GTS, and his legs give out. His body gives out.
I like that. Like I said, I like the fact that we have Roman now back on top.
Yeah, I mean, what does this mean, though? Oh my God, she's dead.
What happened?
Oh my God. Damn. Sol Ruka and Zarya are having a last woman standing on NXT. And as you know, I always have NXT on my TV screen during the show in case something big happens. Well, that stupid round platform that they're always, on when they're trying to cut a promo or something while somebody's in the ring, that elevated platform. Yeah. Well, they were on it and there were two tables set up below it.
Oh, God.
Listen, Zarya's going to go through it. She begs Sol not to put her through. Sol does the whole, okay, we can go back to being friends thing. They hug. Zarya ends up on the other side. And when they get rid of the hug, Zarya pushes her. When Sol goes backwards, she doesn't get enough oomph. So she doesn't go through both tables. She goes through one table and the back of her head, right about here, clips the fucking edge of the second table. And it literally looked like she was knocked the fuck out.
Oof. Well, I mean, you kind of figured she wasn't going to win it, especially after they announced on Raw last night. She's officially called to the main roster.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't agree with that at all. But one last thing I want to get to before we wrap up the show for tonight. What we saw at the end of Monday Night Raw.
Yes. Yeah.
With Jacob Fatu.
Oh, wait a minute. Braun Breaker, Seth Rollins. Braun Breaker wasn't the end of Raw?
No.
Shit, then I fell asleep.
Jacob Fatu comes out. Roman comes out. He has the Usos back out, so which means we have the original bloodline back together again.
Yeah.
And also you hear Jacob Fatu come out. And Jacob turns around and goes, I don't need that belt. No, he goes,
No, I do need it.
He goes, I need that belt.
I need it.
Really?
Now, here's where it becomes very interesting for Roman. You have the opportunity now with Roman, since you have him all summer, that he's going to end up working with Jacob, Gunther, and Oba.
Yeah.
I hate to say it. First of all, no, I don't think Jacob's going to win at Backlash. Because that's what they're basically set up for, is Jacob and Roman at Backlash.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They're having Braun finish off his feud with Rollins and then go after the title?
I guess so.
Okay. Not how I would have done it, but okay. Makes sense.
Now, I don't think he's going to win, because I don't think you're going to have Roman drop the belt that quick. Do I see Roman dropping the belt? Yeah, but unfortunately, not to Jacob. Or could I see it and this becomes a bigger story, down the road?
I mean, it could. I think that's what's going to make the most sense.
Because what I would love to see happen is Roman has the Usos. Jacob pulls 2 other Samoans in who were with the MFTs.
I feel like if anybody's going to bring Zilla in, it would be Jacob.
Yes, but I was even going to go a step further. The team formerly known as the Guerrillas of Destiny.
I don't think so, because I don't know. It seems like over on SmackDown they're really building for Tama Tonga to separate himself from MFT, and like they're not really putting that focus so much on Tonga Loa. You know what I'm saying? Like they're putting. David John, you yawned. They're putting a lot of emphasis and they're foreshadowing, like there's going to be some sort of big issue between Solo and Tama, right?
Yeah.
But they're not foreshadowing that Tonga Loa is with Tama Tonga. If anything, it's the opposite.
I just think it would be cool to have them break off, join Jacob, and then have Roman and the Usos and Jacob and the Guerrillas of Destiny.
Only time will tell, my friend. Only time will tell.
But Ray, I think your bed is calling you after the long day you've had.
Yeah, I was out of the house by 5:30 and didn't get back home till 7:52.
But guys, great show tonight. I want to thank everybody who commented, everybody who saw the video. Guys, we'll be back live next week. And I can announce we will have a guest.
We'll have a guest.
Can I tell you who the guest is? Actually, he is your ring announcer for Creative Pro Wrestling. As Creative Pro Wrestling is set to have their biggest event on May 1st, featuring Nick Nemeth, MJF, The System, Frankie Kazarian. And who is that person? We're bringing back an OG from Around the Ropes. The one and only Ryan Peterson joins us next week.
Oh, my God.
To talk all about that show and what he has come up, because he is somebody, and I've said this before, when we talk about ring announcers, he's one of the best damn ones out there. But, guys, I hope everybody enjoyed the show tonight. If you missed any of tonight's show, definitely go back to our YouTube page or our Facebook page, or if not, go to wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple, TuneIn Radio, and just search Around the Ropes Radio Show. It'll be live on there. within the next probably half hour or so. So you don't want to miss it, guys. Again, subscribe, hit that follow button. You'll be notified of any future videos we have because we are going to start doing those again. And just, share the show. That's the only thing I can say. Share the show. Show your friends, your family.
Your sister's ex. Sorry.
And last thing I'm going to say is, don't be a fucking creep.
Goddamn creepers.
We'll catch you guys next week.